You weren't healing. You weren't growing. You were escaping. And deep down, you knew it. Behind every gym session, every hustle, every cold shower, there was a silence you never touched. A wound you never let bleed. And now you wonder why she left. It wasn't the other man. It wasn't the arguments. It wasn't even that you were broken. It was because you never stopped running. And no one can build a life with someone who won't stop to face himself. There's a moment most men never talk about. Not online, not to friends, not even to themselves. The moment when the noise stops, when the world finally shuts up, and you're left with nothing but your own silence. And in that silence, you realize you've been running. You called it discipline. You called it the grind. You told yourself this was self-improvement, becoming a man, becoming alpha, becoming untouchable. But it wasn't power. It was panic. It was fear, dressed up as ambition. It was masculinity built on escape. You weren't lifting weights because you loved yourself. You were lifting to punish the boy inside you. You weren't chasing goals. You were trying to outrun the moment she looked at you and saw nothing behind your eyes. You want to know why she left? Why she said, "You feel distant," even when you were right next to her? It's because your body stayed, but your soul kept sprinting. You were chasing alpha, but bleeding authenticity. You didn't lose her because you weren't enough. You lost her because you refused to stop and finally sit in your own stillness. And she saw it before you did. You were escaping too, not just her, not just the past, yourself. Every time you drowned your feelings in dopamine, scrolling, porn, fake status, the next girl, you weren't expressing your masculinity. You were hiding from your masculine energy. You were rejecting the very thing you were trying to become. How to be a man. You thought it meant control. Control your mind, your body, your world. But real masculinity isn't control. It's confrontation, facing the parts of yourself you've been avoiding for years. The fear of not being chosen, the shame of being weak, the heartbreak that never healed. She left because there was no one home, no presence, no ground, no truth. You blamed her for giving up, but maybe she was just done waiting for you to show up in your own life. You kept chasing high value, but your value was buried under everything you refused to feel. This isn't about her. It never was. This is about why you keep losing. Why the success doesn't fill you. Why the mirror never reflects a man you respect, because deep inside, you still believe you're not worthy unless you're running. And the moment you stop, you'll have to meet the man hiding behind the mask. You remember the first time you felt small. Not weak. Small. Like your voice didn't matter. Like your pain would just inconvenience someone else. So you shut it down, swallowed it whole, and told yourself, "I'll never feel like this again." That's where it started. That moment. That promise you made in the dark. It wasn't strength. It was fear with a six-pack. So you built walls. You chased strength. You wore the mask. Alpha, stoic, provider. But every time you stared into her eyes, she could feel the boy behind them, locked in a cage he forgot he built. You think rejection only hurts when it comes from others. But the deepest rejection is the one you inflict on yourself. Every time you silence your own truth to seem unbothered. Every time you pretend you're over her just to protect your pride. Every time you tell yourself you're fine, and you're not. You call it masculinity. But she felt the emptiness, she felt the performance, the tension in your laugh. The way your eyes wandered in silence like you were looking for a way out of your own life. And the worst part? You think you're the only one. You think no one sees it. That no one else knows how hollow it feels to win and still feel like a fraud. To grind every day and still feel like you're falling behind. To be surrounded by people and feel completely unseen because no one claps for silence. No one likes the guy who says, "I'm tired, I'm lost, I don't know who I am anymore." But that's the voice you've been running from. The one that whispers at 2 a.m. when the room is dark and your phone's dead and there's no one to impress. The voice that says you're not okay and that's okay. But you silence it again. Because there's always one more thing to do. One more grind to chase. One more dopamine hit to forget. One more way to escape. But the thing about escaping is that eventually you run out of exits. And when you do, that's when it all crashes. The breakup, the burnout, the breakdown. Suddenly the weights aren't enough. The status means nothing. And the mirror becomes a battlefield. You thought heartbreak came from her walking away. But the real heartbreak was watching yourself disappear piece by piece, just to become a man you thought the world would accept, just to survive. You weren't chasing success. You were begging to be seen, to be loved without needing to perform, to be held without needing to earn it. But you didn't know how to ask for that. So you ran, and you called that strength. But true masculine energy doesn't escape. It endures. It stands still when everything else wants to run. It looks in the mirror and doesn't flinch. You want to be alpha? Start by telling the truth to yourself about the pain you buried, the love you sabotaged, the anger you swallowed, the father you never forgave, the woman you still dream about, the boy inside you still waiting for closure. Being a man starts with being human. It's not about never breaking. It's about breaking and still standing. That's what she needed. Not a man who could protect her from the world, but a man who had already faced his own. And now, maybe it's too late. Maybe she's gone. Maybe she won't come back. But this is still yours. This silence. This space. This moment to choose who you'll become now that the escape no longer works. You were escaping too. Now it's time to return, to rebuild, to rise, and not for her, for you. You kept waiting for someone to save you, but no one's coming. She's not coming back. Your father won't apologize. The world won't slow down. And the version of you that could have made it different, you killed him to survive. Now, it's just you, and the silence, and the question you keep avoiding. Will I die like this? With everything on the outside, and nothing left inside. You weren't unloved. You were unseen. And maybe you never even saw yourself. That's not strength. That's suffering. And you've worn it like armor for too long. So what now? You've been humbled, not by failure, but by the weight of your own mask. You chased the alpha mindset, but it broke you. Because a man without a soul is just another machine. You don't need more discipline. You need integrity. You don't need more grind. You need grace. You don't need another girl. You need to face the one who left and admit, I pushed her away trying to protect a man I never became. The truth is ugly, It always is. But it sets you free, if you let it. Because maybe this heartbreak was never punishment. Maybe it was initiation into something deeper, something real. A kind of masculinity not built on dominance but on presence, on truth, on the kind of silence that no longer hurts, because you're no longer hiding from it. The man you thought you had to become to survive, he's dead. Now you get to choose the man you become to live. And that starts now. Not with a promise, not with a goal, but with a choice. To stop escaping, to return to yourself. If this cracked something open in you, don't let it close again. Write, speak, say what you've been silencing. Someone needs to hear it. Maybe her, maybe you.